What job is absolutely useless?
I once filed charges against my employer for an unethical issue that happened. Attorneys were involved and it was ugly for about 2 weeks. I had all job assignments taken away while the investigation was conducted. In the middle of the investigation is when COVID took off and the world went into a tailspin. Everyone who was involved with my issue charge just started exiting the company, and I just never had any duties given back to me. I stayed in that role for 6 months without anyone ever questioning what I did. I would come into work and make a lap around the site, take an hour lunch and come and go as I wanted. It was a Fortune 500 and they just lost track of who I was or what I was doing. I was working on a project team and everyone just assumed my direction came from someone else. At one point, the company slashed 20% of the salaried workforce, and I never heard a word. When I left the company for an external opportunity, they gave me a sizable exit package to resolve my charge and a wonderful review. It was the worst of times due to the anxiety of always expecting the worst, and the best of times because I was just coming and going with no direction or expectations of any kind. I've had something similar to this happen myself. I wasn't paid though. I'm an off-site subcontractor for a huge corporation. Huge, as in not just one building at headquarters, it was an entire campus spread over 20 buildings. I work from home, so I'm a subcontractor, not an actual employee, and I need to go to HQ for a week of hands-on work that can't be done at home. The hands-on work required access to a server room, and the server room was locked. You needed a pass card to get in. So for the first day or two, I'd have to bug an employee to let me back into the server room after going to the bathroom, or to lunch. Plus, I had nowhere to work. Nowhere to set up my laptop and actually get work done. There were no desks, chairs in the server room, so some low-level executive got the bright idea, let's get Hump a temporary badge and pass card to access the server room without bugging anyone else, and let's let Hump set up in one of those empty, unoccupied offices. The intent was for this to be temporary, but the corporate wheel started moving. All of a sudden, overnight, that unoccupied office got all the things that a new hire would get: staplers, monitors, file folders, pens, pencils, desk blotter. A binder showed up with company handbook, policies, maps, and so on. The next day, the office had my name on it. A brass plaque on the door had my name on it. And a phone was installed, and the office assistant came over to show me how to use it. I had a voicemail mailbox that now belonged to me. A laptop was issued to me. I was shown how to access the shared printer. My week ended, and I went back home, cross-country. For months, my office was still there. I'd ask friends who worked there to go check, and my office was still there. Others working nearby thought I was just traveling a lot. My voicemail stayed active for months too. To everyone's understanding, I was an employee who just happened to work odd hours, or something. About 8 months later, someone figured out the mistake. My very first job. I'm a toxicologist and was hired by a very big private laboratory. My main job was to sort and redirect case files depending on the time at which the results came out. The documents were sent to me in Excel. I was getting paid to just click sort by date descendingly. We have a specific security guard we've had for 13 plus years now and is pretty useless. The security guard lives there and has a TV. He watches telenovelas most of the time. All he does is open the gate and doesn't even bother to even inspect though, since according to his logic, 99% of people who can afford a car aren't bad, harmful people. He doesn't ask names or house numbers, just opens the gate whenever he sees a car. Anyone can come in if they have a car, he doesn't even inspect faces. And do you know the worst part? When moving into the Privada, you are supplied with your own control remote. The gates are also automatic. I took a job scheduling residential HVAC technicians for a mid-sized company after a few years of working in the field. A few months in, the company ended its residential program to focus on commercial. Thing is, they already had commercial schedulers. My boss told me she'd find me a new role, but then she took another job elsewhere and left. I stayed as a scheduler with no one to schedule in a department that no longer existed. No one in the office seemed to realize this, and for over half a decade, I would show up, make friendly conversation in the break room while making my coffee, and then literally just did nothing the rest of the day. Having left a stressful job, it was glorious. Occasionally someone would ask me an HVAC or system-related question over email, and that was it. I made sure everyone liked me by bringing in bagels every Monday and donuts every Friday. Then COVID happened, and now I was doing nothing at home. When I learned the company was being sold, I figured I wouldn't tempt fate anymore and applied elsewhere. My department head gave a glowing recommendation. having no idea what I even did but knowing I was friendly and helped him jump his car a few times. Mine. I'm a management consultant, and while I have quite a bit of industry knowledge and experience, my clients either have the same knowledge or they aren't willing to accept change. Oftentimes, my firm gets paid a lot of money to make very little difference strategically and/or operationally. Where we do add value is in implementing enterprise-wide software solutions. Why do I stay? The money is pretty good, given the futility. A friend of mine worked at a government office. While he was on leave, there was a reorganization, and somehow he managed to not be fired nor get a new job. When he returned, his manager and the manager's manager both had moved on to new jobs in the private sector, but his office was still there, so he just went back to work. He did for some weeks try to figure out who he should report to, but was just referred to different people that did not reply, promised to get back to him, or just referred him to someone else, so eventually he just gave up. Then there was a need for his office and he had to vacate it. So he just went home, and that was fine because he had cleared his backlog of work and was not really motivated because there was nobody he could talk to, report to, or assign tasks to him. He is still getting paid. Most middle management positions. Their job is literally to take bullshit from above and send it below, and to have someone to shift blame to. There are often multiple levels through which the bullcrap must pass as well.